September 1942. A German soldier, riding a wave of seemingly endless victories, confidently walks through the rubble of what was once a Stalingrad street. He gazes up at the skeletal husks of buildings, convinced this city, already pulverized by the Luftwaffe, is just days away from surrendering. The city looks dead, but it's not. It's waiting. From the ruins, a new, horrifying kind of war ignites. A war so intimate and brutal they called it the Rattenkrieg, the Rat War. This wasn't a battle of open fields and grand maneuvers. This was a war fought for every single floor of every shattered apartment building. Every sewer drain could hide a sniper's nest, and every mangled factory was transformed into a fortress. Life expectancy here wasn't measured in days or weeks, but in mere hours. The Germans pushed forward, but for every meter they gained, they paid a heavy price in blood. What fueled this desperate, almost suicidal defense? Stalin's infamous Order Number 227. Not one step back. For the Soviet soldiers, retreat was not an option. They fought with a ferocity that stunned the invaders, turning the German advance into a nightmarish, close-quarters meat grinder. Soldiers fought with rifles, grenades, bayonets, and even sharpened shovels. The battle for a single-grain elevator or a tractor factory could last for weeks, costing thousands of lives on both sides. The once proud German Sixth Army was bleeding itself dry in this house-to-house hell, completely fixated on capturing a city that was now little more than a name on a map. But while the world watched the brutal struggle within the city, something else was happening. Something secret and massive. Far from the prying eyes of German reconnaissance, the Soviets were quietly amassing a colossal force on the Sixth Army's exposed flanks. They gathered over 1 million men, thousands of tanks and artillery pieces preparing for a decisive blow. The Germans, so focused on the inferno of Stalingrad itself, were dangerously overconfident and completely unaware of the trap being laid for them. Their allies guarding the flanks were poorly equipped and stretched thin, a fatal weakness the Soviets were about to exploit. Then, on November 19th, as the bitter Russian winter began to bite, the trap was sprung. The Soviets launched Operation Uranus, a gigantic pincer movement that smashed through the weak Axis flanks with terrifying speed. In just a few days, the two Soviet fronts met, and the unthinkable had happened. The entire German Sixth Army, over 250,000 men, was completely surrounded. The hunters had become the hunted. Trapped in a frozen cauldron, cut off from supplies and hammered by constant attacks, the invaders became the besieged. Their commander pleaded with Hitler to allow a breakout, but the Führer, obsessed with the symbolic prize of Stalingrad, ordered them to hold their ground at all costs, promising they would be supplied by air. That promise was a lie. The Luftwaffe was unable to fly enough supplies into the pocket, and the encircled army began to starve. Temperatures plummeted to unimaginable lows. Frostbite, disease, and starvation became deadlier enemies than the Soviet soldiers. The once mighty German army was reduced to frozen, starving phantoms huddled in the ruins they had created. The surrender in February 1943 was inevitable. This wasn't just a lost battle. It was the utter annihilation of an army and the shattering of the myth of German invincibility. Stalingrad was the definitive turning point on the Eastern Front. From its ashes, the long, bloody road to Berlin had truly begun. Thanks for watching. If you found this glimpse into history fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from the past. See you next time.